Hello, everyone. I am Charlotte Tweed, founder of Liberty Travel Coach, relocation strategist, and welcome to Free Thinkers Rising. And today I have with me Dr. Marc-Felix Otto, and he is working on a very interesting project in Switzerland. Mark, would you please tell us about Soubey and about yourself?
Thanks, Charlotte. Yes. I have a background in physics. I'm an entrepreneur with a company of around 30 employees in the German-speaking countries, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, and we serve the energy industry. That's my normal life. Married with 2 children, living in Switzerland, and we are building what we call a community in the little town, some very small village of Soubey. That's Soubey in the Canton of Jura in Switzerland. French-speaking part of Switzerland, a town with 120 inhabitants and 14 square kilometers of space. Sparsely populated, very beautiful countryside in a hilly, slightly mountainous area of Western Switzerland bordering France.
And you mentioned the location. So what major cities is Soubey close to?
Both Bern and Basel are approximately 1 hour by car. You do have public transport. There's a bus bringing you to the capital of Jura, Delémont, within half an hour. Basel also has an international airport. Zurich is 2 hours from Soubey. Geneva, also 2 hours about.
Okay, great. And the land you'd mentioned is beautiful and hilly. Is there agriculture in the land? Is Soubey self-sustainable? What does agriculture look like there?
The current population of Soubey, they are mainly farmers, also pensioners, and people who commute. But as said, it is very small, and the village used to have about 400 inhabitants 80 years ago, I think, or 100 years ago. So there is capacity. Also, quite interestingly, for example, the bunker, I think it's called, the location where you go in war times is equipped with places for 400 people. So you still see lots of infrastructure can host growth. And that's what we want to do. We want to bring people to Soubey, and a location which is the lowest cost environment across Switzerland. For other countries, it might still be moderately expensive, whatever. But for Switzerland, it's really cheap. It's the cheapest option to live in Switzerland there. And so we are looking for people who are entrepreneurial pioneers, who want to build a freedom-loving community there that has value also for the current population, in that it rejuvenates the village. Ideally, we're looking for young families, for entrepreneurs, as I said, for artisans who bring maybe also jobs to the town. That would be ideal. And what do I mean by freedom loving? I think we are addressing a certain community here, so we probably have common grounds. I have a libertarian worldview that is known. It's also, you can search me on the internet if you want to know more about that. The idea is to have a high trust society. Switzerland has fertile ground for high trust. We are still a relatively high trust country, even in those times, these times. But we want to have a high trust and freedom loving community. And I think whatever that means in the detail can be shared also with people who are interested on an individual basis. But that's what we want to achieve. And for the locals, I think there's lots of value in it. And yeah, they seem to like the project, let's say, right now. Of course, there's not so much there yet. The current status is that our real pioneer, Armin Hefliger, whom I support, he has bought the only hotel restaurant in the village 2 years ago and reopened it. Yeah, it had been closed due to lack of demand, but now it's running well. Lots of tourists come to this village again, and or more than before, let's say. And Armin runs this successfully. So the village already sees that we bring something positive. Next step is we are buying their former schoolhouse. Too few
Mhm.
children in the town, so they cannot have a school anymore. If we bring in young families with children, we can reopen maybe a private school or something very freedom oriented. And we are in discussions with people who could lead that project as well right now. So it's somewhat early, but there is no risk that this will stop because we will continue, definitely. Yeah.
And you'd mentioned young families are particularly attractive to
Yes.
rejuvenate the community and carry it on. Now, what does some of the housing look like for people who may be ready to move now or in the very near future?
Mhm. Yes. Maybe let's start at the high end. There are three, or relative high end, yeah, three apartments with, I think, 3 bedrooms each. And that is a freshly uh, refurbished house in the center of Soubey. I don't know the exact rent, but we're probably talking about something in the range of 2,000 or 1,500 Swiss francs per month. For a family in Switzerland, that's still cheap, but not very cheap. And in the old schoolhouse, we are talking about one normal apartment, which has not recently been refurbished, but is standard quality, and that would be around 1,200 Swiss francs per month, I think. Yeah, so already there for a family that is very, very cheap for Swiss purposes or measures. And we can even go below that because other rooms in the house are not proper apartment, but they do have a shared kitchen and you have your own bathroom and you have like a loft of 60 square meters, for example. What is that? 600 square feet, probably, roughly. You could also rent 2 of them. If people, as pioneers, want to work together with us in refurbishing that schoolhouse, in doing things, we will find solutions for that.
Is there land available to build on?
Yes. We are also in the process of buying land to build on. And yes, in total, yeah, our midterm plan is to create space for 60 people, 60 additional people. And over the next 3 years, let's say, maybe 4 or 5 years, depending on how fast we get those pieces, real estate pieces. And the long-term ambition, of course, maybe is to bring the village back to its old size, old strength.
Nice. Now, you'd mentioned the people of Soubey are welcoming to this project. What are they like? What, as a people, as a community?
That's a very good question. Maybe I'll do something that I don't do normally. I go top down. We're looking at Switzerland, and as I said, I mean, probably all of your listeners have a concept of Switzerland, so let's not talk too much about it. But in my view, it's already a relatively freedom-loving country in Europe. Next, you go into the canton of Jura. Jura within Switzerland is what the mainstream media would call a leftist canton, but they are leftist in an interesting manner. Namely, they broke off. It's the youngest canton of Switzerland. They broke off from the canton of Bern only in, I think it was 1979. So what is it, 40, 50 years ago? Why did they do that? Primarily because of the language question. Bern is dominantly German speaking and Jura is French speaking canton. With, of course, however, with many German mother tongue German people still living there, and also this is Switzerland, right? So everybody learns either German or French as a first foreign language in school or second foreign language after English. But people understand you if you speak German, and of course English is I mean, lingua franca. People speak that as well. So they broke off. And what happened during that break-off process was quite uncommon for Switzerland. We really had a militant organization in the Canton of Jura for a couple of years. Nobody died, I think, but this was an interesting experience. And around that movement built a, let's say, anarcho-socialist community. small, but they still meet sometimes. And so people are somewhat familiar also with the ideas of Max Stirner and these guys. And then also you have quite a strong division between the cities, de Le Mans and Porrentruy in Jura, which are really leftist, and the countryside, which of course is much more conservative. And so they move in a libertarian direction, I think. And then you have within Jura, you have by now four districts. One of them is called Franche Montagne. That means free mountains. Why is it called that? Because in the medieval ages, for 300 years, they were completely tax exempt. They belonged to the Archbishop of Basel, who wanted to bring people there in order to defend against the French invaders. And so he gave them tax exempt status in return to a commitment to defend the land. Yeah? And that's why they're called Franche Montagnes, Franche Montagne, that last for, I think, yeah, about 300 years, but also they had semi-autonomous status for much longer, for almost 500 years, I think, until Napoleon rode on this horse through Switzerland in the end of, what was it, around 1800. And we want, of course, to connect to that tradition and to bring back a very business-friendly environment also. And that's interesting in Switzerland, like in the US, you have taxes on three levels: federal level, cantonal level, municipal level. So on the municipal level, we really have the freedom to bring down the taxes directly, even without talking to anybody, if in the village we have the will to do this.
Yeah, so they may be people with a bit of a rebellious spirit.
Yes.
Yes.
They have a rebellious tradition and a tradition of doing things their way, I would say, yeah, of autonomy, of autarky, and which is a fertile ground for discussion. And of course, when you come into a village, specifically a rural village, you should bring an ample amount, yeah, good amount of willingness to cooperate, to adapt also. Not maybe your basic values, but maybe, I mean, what I experience sometimes is that people in these times like to complain. And I'm really working on myself in reducing that. There's this book, Complaint-Free World, excuse me, that I've read just now, and my wife and myself, we are really trying to complain less, because I think it reduces your energy, it reduces your success, and it makes people around you feel worse. This does not mean to become dishonest. Of course, you need to look at the world honestly, not betray yourself, but still habitual complaining in a village wouldn't help anybody, I think. And if you come with a positive mindset, willing to adapt in some areas, and specifically to bring value to the village, then I think everybody will be happy. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Complaining and bringing that negative attitude would only make the village toxic, and that would not be a good thing. That can happen very easy, especially in a small town.
Yeah.
I was born in a small town in Canada, so I understand what it's like to live in a small village.
Yes.
Now, you had
Me too, by
mentioned,
the way. Yeah, I grew up in a, what was it, 500 people village in northern Germany, in a very rural area. And that's why this is a hard blood going to this project, right? I have two kids. I would have liked to raise them in the countryside. They're now by now 15 and 12 years old. So
yes,
we missed that opportunity, but we want to give it to others.
yes, I was born in my village. It was called a village in Canada, had a population of 300 people. And then I moved to a farm. I grew up on a
Yeah,
farm from about the age
good.
of 4 until I left home, but still went to that small town for school. So I very much understand small town atmosphere.
Great. Yeah. My
Yeah.
partner, Armin Hefliger, grew up on a farm as well, together with four sisters and brothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. It's a beautiful upbringing. Certainly different
Yes.
than growing up in a city. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned taxes. And when I had
Mhm.
talked to you before, about Soubey. The first time you had mentioned about abolishing the municipal taxes. Is that still possible? Is that still something you're looking at?
It is legally possible. I think it is not step one, but maybe step three or so that we can try to achieve. I always talk about bringing down the taxes, and that is already, I think, quite consensual in the town that lower taxes are better. Bringing them to zero, of course, would also send a very, let's say, ideological signal in terms of you don't need the state, which I think is a case. You can organize a society or living together on a voluntary basis. But in terms of finance, this is quite easy. It's a small town with a very small budget, and I'm not a billionaire and a huge entrepreneur, etc. But it would be possible. I think the point in time to do this is not right now, but at a point in time when we really have a consensus in the village that this is the right way to go. And of course, we need a democratic majority in the village to do this, right?
Right. Yes. Now, there's something that may be involved that people haven't heard of before. I'm aware of it and you are, but a citizenship contract. Will Soubey have that?
Yeah.
And if so, what is it for those who've never heard of a citizenship contract?
A citizenship contract is what we see as an alternative to the way we're currently organized, where we have maybe something called a constitution, also a legal document which defines or sets out the basic ideas of living together. And when we say citizenship contract, the core difference is that this is not something which a legal body in the state defines top down, but where people explicitly sign onto. It is a real contract which states we want to live together in this manner. Yeah, respect other people's lives and liberty and property, and strive for a high trust society and these things. It's not so different, maybe from the current constitutions, only that the counterparties are all private entities, people, and on the other hand, this citizenship contract is part of a private mutual company, a Genossenschaft in German, which then rents out apartments. So the citizenship contract, of course, need not be signed by everybody in Soubey. The locals who already live there, maybe they see no value in this. Fair enough. But the people who come in together with us and who want to live in our real estate real estate apartments built on our land, etc., we would welcome them signing the citizenship contract, because I think through the contract we can achieve many things. We can show the village that we are bringing value, that we bring good people, not people who live on others' expenses, that we want to establish high trust, or we want to keep the high trust in the village, etc. So it's good for the local community to see that, and also it clarifies things amongst ourselves. And last not least, it is a proof of concept that you can live together on such a basis. If you want to read more about citizenship contract, Tito Sgebel has written this book, Free Private Cities, where the theory is in. You can read a recent volume, this is in German, how freedom entrepreneurs work these days, and lots of theory. What matters is practice. And so yeah, for people who are interested, we have a version of that contract. We are starting, so nobody has signed it yet. Come along and be a pioneer.
So you had mentioned the hotel.
Yeah.
People can, if they're interested, they can come and visit Soubey and check it out for themselves and see what's going on.
Yeah, it's Hotel du Cerf, Hotel of the Deer in English. In Soubey has a web page, affordable prices, and if people let us know that they come through this channel, through you, of course, we can also organize something. Armin and or myself can be there, get to know each other. For anyone we bring to the village, of course, we want to get to know each other first because it's such a small village and it really makes sense for both parties to know who will be there.
Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you for offering that because that's something that community is really at the heart of everything that I do.
Yep.
And I do feel that when you land, it's great if you can meet someone who is familiar with the project or familiar with the locals that can help integrate you into the community. So you get a really good idea of what it is like to live there. So I appreciate that. Is there anything else, Mark, that you wanted to share about Soubey that I didn't ask?
It's beautiful. It has a river running through it, the Doubs in French, where you can swim in summer, where you can kayak all year round. It has hills where you can hike. Children can play in the countryside with very low risks, at least from other humans. Maybe, I don't know, a branch breaks off the tree or something like that. Risks that we took easily when we were young ourselves in the countryside, where parents can relax, hopefully a bit, because it's a high trust society. There are people, not everybody is your best friend, let's be honest, with 100 or 200 people at some point in time. But yeah, people know each other, and this gives a level of security that I think is beneficial also to raising your kids in a healthy manner. And it's for Switzerland, as said, it's affordable. On the flip side, it's in the countryside. You can't go partying every night. Yeah, we have internet, of course. That's basic. We have public transport, but yeah, things take longer and it's a bit slower than elsewhere, even in Switzerland. Yeah,
And for some people, that would be perfect.
exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So for the people listening today, what is one actionable step that
Yeah.
they could do today to find their community, to find their tribe?
Yeah, to contact us. Yeah, through Hotel du Cerf, through my email address, which I'm happy to publish, and then as a next step, if what we discuss in more detail is yeah promising, please come to Soubey. We are happy to meet, really.
Mm-hmm. All right, I asked how people can find you. I was going to ask you that question, and you mentioned your email. So I will put links for the hotel, Titus's book, and your email in the comments as well, so that people have easy access to that. So that would be
Excellent.
fantastic. So I appreciate you coming on today, Mark, and educating us on Soubey. It sounds like an interesting project that I hope to get to visit sometime myself soon, next time I'm in Europe. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Charlotte. The pleasure was mine.